Emily Harper and Willow Creek were inseparable, one a shining beauty queen and cheerleader, the other a quiet town where everyone knew your name. But when a newborn's body was discovered in a trash bag, Emily's perfect world unraveled overnight, thrusting her into a courtroom battle that would shock the nation and reveal secrets no one expected. Emily Harper was the kind of girl who seemed to have it all. From the moment she walked into Willow Creek High School, she drew attention effortlessly. Her golden hair and bright smile made her stand out, but it was her confidence and charm that truly captivated everyone around her. She became a star on the cheerleading squad, performing at football games and pep rallies, and soon she was crowned homecoming queen. Her success didn't stop there. Emily competed in regional beauty pageants, earning titles that brought her even more recognition. In a town like Willow Creek, where everyone knew everyone else, Emily quickly became a household name. People admired her grace, her poise, and her ability to make even strangers feel noticed and appreciated. Parents praised her as a role model, teachers singled her out for leadership awards, and friends flocked to be near her. On the surface, it seemed that Emily had achieved the perfect life: popularity, talent, and a bright future ahead. But beneath the surface, Emily's life was far from perfect. Her family faced struggles that few outside their home could see. Her parents argued frequently, sometimes late into the night, leaving Emily to navigate the pressures of school and social life largely on her own. Behind her public image of perfection, she was quietly wrestling with feelings of isolation and the stress of keeping up appearances. She formed secret friendships and romances that were carefully hidden from the public eye, aware that any slip could ruin her flawless reputation. Late-night texts and secret meetings became a part of her routine, small acts of rebellion against the tight control she felt from both her family and her town. Even as she walked the hallways smiling and waving at everyone, Emily carried the weight of her private anxieties. While her peers only saw the glittering trophies and perfectly styled hair, she felt the pressure mounting beneath the surface. Despite this, she remained skilled at projecting confidence and charm, masking her vulnerabilities with humor and warmth. This ability to balance public adoration with private struggle made her an enigma to those around her. People trusted her implicitly, believing in the image they saw, while Emily quietly navigated the complexity of her hidden life. It was this combination of outward perfection and inner conflict that set the stage for a series of events that would shock the entire community, leading to a story that no one could have imagined and a mystery that would forever change the way Willow Creek viewed its golden girl. The discovery began as an ordinary morning in Willow Creek. A jogger, following her usual route through the park behind the community center, noticed a small black trash bag tucked behind a cluster of dumpsters. At first, she thought it was just another piece of discarded garbage, something the park was no stranger to. But there was something off. The bag had an unusual weight, and a faint, unsettling odor seemed to seep from it. Curiosity and concern led her to call local authorities, setting in motion a chain of events that would rock the town to its core. When the police arrived, they approached the bag cautiously. Upon opening it, they were confronted with a shocking reality. Inside was the lifeless body of a newborn baby. The discovery sent a wave of horror through the small town, and soon the quiet streets of Willow Creek were filled with sirens, flashing lights, and the whispers of neighbors who could not comprehend what had happened. For a town that prided itself on safety and familiarity, the reality that something so tragic could occur just steps from a community playground was almost impossible to accept. The investigation escalated immediately. Detectives scoured the area for clues, examining the bag, nearby dumpsters, and surrounding streets for any evidence that could lead them to the perpetrator. They interviewed residents, retraced the steps of anyone who might have been in the park late at night, and reviewed hours of security footage from nearby businesses. As the case unfolded, eyewitness accounts began to emerge. People remembered seeing a car parked unusually close to the dumpsters, a young woman carrying a mysterious bundle in the dead of night. Each description added to the tension, but no single lead pointed conclusively to a suspect. Then, as authorities sifted through the surveillance footage, one familiar face appeared repeatedly: Emily Harper. The girl who had once lit up the town with her charm and beauty now seemed linked to one of the most horrifying events Willow Creek had ever seen. The revelation left the community in shock. Parents recoiled in disbelief. Friends struggled to reconcile the image of the cheerful, golden-haired girl they knew, and local officials scrambled to contain the growing media frenzy. Emily's reputation, carefully built over years of public admiration, was suddenly overshadowed by suspicion and fear. As the investigation deepened, it became clear that this was more than just an isolated incident. Secrets, hidden lives, and the quiet pressures of a seemingly perfect town all converged in a case that would expose the darkest corners of Willow Creek. The discovery of the baby in the trash bag was only the beginning, a spark that would ignite a storm of legal battles, shocking revelations, and a story that would grip the town, and eventually the nation, with disbelief and horror. When Emily Harper was taken into custody, Willow Creek was thrown into chaos. The girl who had once been the embodiment of charm and success now faced the most serious accusation imaginable. The case quickly became a spectacle, drawing reporters, townspeople, and legal experts alike, all eager to witness how the story of the perfect girl would unfold. Courtrooms that had rarely seen much more than traffic violations were now packed with anxious spectators, cameras capturing every expression, every movement, every subtle gesture. The prosecution presented a narrative that seemed almost scripted. Emily had allegedly concealed a pregnancy, given birth in secret, and then attempted to hide the baby's existence by placing it in a trash bag. They painted a chilling portrait of premeditation, emphasizing the contrast between her public persona and the alleged act. But Emily surprised everyone. She entered the courtroom with a quiet confidence that immediately shifted the atmosphere. Gone was the nervous teenager people expected. In her place was a poised, determined young woman who refused to be defined by accusations or rumors. Her legal team meticulously scrutinized every piece of evidence, questioning timelines, witness accounts, and the interpretation of surveillance footage. Each day in court, Emily's presence reminded the spectators that appearances could be deceiving. The girl who once waved to crowds from parade floats now waved off assumptions, demanding that justice be based on facts, not fear. The prosecution relied heavily on circumstantial evidence, trying to weave a narrative that connected Emily to the crime. But the defense challenged every point. They pointed out inconsistencies in witness testimonies, raised doubts about the clarity and timing of security footage, and questioned the handling of forensic evidence. As the trial progressed, the courtroom shifted from a stage for condemnation to a battleground of logic and scrutiny. Emily's composure under pressure became a focal point of the case, with many observers noting her ability to remain calm while facing intense public and legal scrutiny. Public opinion wavered as the trial unfolded. Friends and neighbors who had once believed in her guilt began to reconsider. Was it possible that the girl they had idolized was innocent? Emily's unwavering determination and methodical approach began to turn the tide, demonstrating that being underestimated could be a powerful weapon in court. The courtroom became a theater of suspense, each day bringing new revelations, contradictions, and questions. As the trial continued, it became clear that this case was not just about a tragic death, but also about the power of perception, the dangers of assumption, and the extraordinary courage of a young woman standing alone against a town ready to judge her. Just when the trial seemed to be leaning toward a grim verdict, a shocking twist sent the courtroom into turmoil. New forensic evidence emerged that no one had anticipated. A DNA test conducted as part of a routine cross-check revealed that the baby found in the trash bag was not Emily Harper's child. Instead, the results pointed to a distant relative who had been missing for months, a revelation that completely upended the prosecution's narrative. The courtroom erupted in whispers and stunned gasps, reporters scrambling to capture the astonishing development. For Emily, this new evidence offered a lifeline, a chance to reclaim her life and confront the assumptions that had nearly destroyed her. The revelation triggered a cascade of further discoveries. Investigators revisited their initial findings, re-examining witnesses and revisiting every detail of the surveillance footage. What had once seemed damning now appeared misleading. Security cameras had captured Emily carrying a bundle, yes, but the angle, timing, and context had been misinterpreted. Witnesses who had appeared confident in their statements began to contradict themselves under closer scrutiny, and inconsistencies in police reports revealed gaps in the investigation. It became clear that assumptions and confirmation bias had clouded judgment from the very beginning. The shocking truth also exposed deeper family secrets. The missing relative had been struggling with addiction and instability, circumstances that explained the presence of the child near the community center. Their absence and secrecy had allowed suspicion to fall unfairly on Emily, whose social status and visibility made her an easy target for public outrage. What initially seemed like a simple case of tragedy and wrongdoing transformed into a complex web of human error, misjudgment, and hidden struggles. Throughout these revelations, Emily remained composed. She had anticipated public skepticism and remained focused on clearing her name. Her courtroom demeanor, once remarkable, became almost legendary as observers noted how she navigated this sudden shift with intelligence and grace. Each new twist reinforced the danger of relying on appearances, reminding the town that reality was rarely as simple as it seemed. The case, which had once threatened to end her future, now highlighted her resilience, her courage, and the power of truth over rumor. By the time the new evidence was fully presented, the trial had transformed into more than a legal battle. It had become a story of mistaken assumptions, hidden hardships, and the extraordinary consequences of jumping to conclusions. Willow Creek would never see Emily Harper the same way again, nor would it forget the lessons learned from the shocking twists that revealed the full truth behind the tragic baby in the trash bag. The trial ended with Emily Harper's exoneration, bringing relief not only to her but to a town that had been gripped by tension and disbelief for months. The courtroom, once a place of accusation and fear, became a scene of quiet vindication. The true circumstances behind the tragedy were finally clarified. The baby had belonged to a distant relative struggling with addiction and hardship, not Emily. Investigators were able to identify the responsible party, whose struggles had led to the desperate act that had nearly destroyed an innocent life. The revelation brought closure to the legal proceedings, but the emotional and social aftermath would linger far longer. Emily emerged from the trial forever changed. The experience had been harrowing, subjecting her to intense public scrutiny and placing her in the center of a case that captivated the nation. Yet through it all, she had demonstrated remarkable strength and composure, qualities that were impossible to ignore. Interviews, news reports, and public appearances following her exoneration portrayed her not just as a victim of false accusations, but as a symbol of resilience. She spoke about the importance of remaining steadfast in the face of adversity, the dangers of rushing to judgment, and the power of truth to overcome misconception. Her story resonated with many who had witnessed her ordeal, reminding the public that appearances can be deceiving and that justice often requires patience and diligence. The impact on Willow Creek was profound. The town had to confront the consequences of assumptions and gossip, realizing how quickly admiration could turn into suspicion without evidence. Community leaders emphasized the importance of empathy, restraint, and careful evaluation before assigning blame. Families and friends reflected on the lessons learned, recognizing the fragility of reputation and the responsibility that comes with forming opinions about others. Emily's case became a touchstone for discussions about fairness, integrity, and the human tendency to judge based on status rather than facts. Despite the challenges she faced, Emily found a renewed sense of purpose. She engaged in community outreach, supporting initiatives focused on at-risk youth and advocating for justice reform. Her public image, once tarnished by false allegations, evolved into one of courage and empowerment. The town gradually shifted its perception, seeing her not just as a former beauty queen or cheerleader, but as a young woman who had faced extraordinary adversity and emerged stronger. The story of Emily Harper, the beauty queen cheerleader who rocked the courtroom in the baby trash bag case, became legendary. It was a cautionary tale about the power of appearances, the importance of evidence, and the resilience of a person determined to stand for truth. Willow Creek would never forget the case, nor the lessons it had taught about judgment, courage, and the unexpected strength found in the most unlikely heroes.